Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me in our third yin yoga class. As we move lower into the body, we will now be looking to open the hips and hamstrings, looking at the legs as a whole. Let's start in our wide-legged child's pose, bringing the big toes to touch, knees about shoulder width distance apart. Start to walk your palms out in front of you and lower your chin and chest down towards the mat. If your forehead doesn't quite make it on the ground, simply place a block directly underneath you for extra support. And even though your arms are stretched out in front of you, see if you can roll your shoulder blades down your back and give yourself plenty of space through the neck. Start to deepen your breath as you feel your ribs spread from side to side, front to back. And softly allow your hips to lower towards your heels, starting to gently open up through the lower body, getting deep into the fascia, and learning to undo any tension that might be stored there. Maybe allow the eyes to close as you focus on the rhythm of your breath or the sensations in your body. Hip openers can be very challenging and triggering to some, so if you find that it becomes too much for you at any point, I do encourage you to back out of the pose and take a bit of a break. And let's stay for another minute or so here in this pose. Gently start to bring your palms closer towards your shoulders and ease out of the pose by sliding all the way down onto your belly. We'll be coming into a modified butterfly shape, so you'll need to keep your knees apart and bring the soles of the feet together. Maybe stack your palms and forearms so you can turn one ear onto the ground or support your forehead. You don't want to be holding on to any tension or resistance through the upper body. Let this be about your hips only. The tendency in a pose like this is to lift the hips off the ground in order to get the ankles down on the floor. So instead of focusing on that, let your pelvis rest heavy on the mat, as well as your knees, and don't worry about whether or not your ankles make it on the floor or not. Just keep pressing the soles of your feet together, and over time they will naturally lower down. You might want to pad your knees here in this pose if you're experiencing any discomfort. We are here for 1 or 2 minutes, so it is worth it to set up the pose properly and make sure that you can stay here in a comfortable way. Once you've gotten yourself comfortably into the pose, start to come back to the breath. Let's start to bring some gentle movement back into the body, straightening the legs. And just give yourself a few breaths to stay neutral here with your legs out straight, pelvis relaxed, and breathe deeply into your hips. We'll be coming into a stretch through the front of the quads this time. You may or may not need a strap. Start to bend into your right knee and grab a hold of your right ankle, either with your hand, or if your ankle is too far away, simply use a strap to wrap around your foot. You'll want to try to bring your head and chest back into the same pose that you had before, just so you can come into a place where this pose becomes a little bit more restorative and only very little amounts of strength are required. You should be able to settle into it. Try to keep the entire length of your right leg down onto the mat so that your knee doesn't start to lift off of the ground. Keep it pressing down so that you can keep lengthening the front of your quads. Tailbone is pointing towards your heels. Shoulders are relaxed. Let's take 10 to 15 deep breaths on this side. And let's switch sides. Release your right ankle and maybe switch forearms. Start to bend into your left knee, holding onto your left foot with your hand or using a strap. Release your left foot back down onto the mat. Bring your palms underneath your chest and very gently start to lift yourself back up onto all fours. We'll be setting ourselves up to come into a low lunge, targeting the hip flexors and psoas. So start by patting your left knee. I'm just doubling up my mat here, but you can always use a blanket and place it directly underneath your knee. And from here, step your right foot forward in between your palms to the top of the mat. Make sure your feet and legs are about hip-width distance apart, and be mindful not to let your right knee go past your right ankle. For this variation, since this is a yin yoga practice and we want to be using as little effort and strength as possible, I'm going to keep my palms down onto the mat. If the floor is too far away, you can always use a block under each hand to bring the floor a little bit closer towards you. Just set up the pose in a way that you can allow your hips to really soften down while maintaining length through the lower back, integrity through the shoulders and neck so that you can roll your shoulder blades down your back, and getting really long through your left hip flexors. Feel your breath flow in and out, and imagine that you can send it directly into your left hip, targeting those muscles specifically, undoing any resistance that might be stored there. Notice if as you hold this pose, instead of having your arms to support you in the pose, you start to use your arms to press yourself out of the shape. Sometimes when we get deep into the lower body, our upper body tends to want to compensate. You might see signs of this by clenching the jaw, frowning, shrugging the shoulders up towards the ears, or pressing your palms really firmly against the ground. See if you can soften your body. Let gravity do most of the work for you. All you need to do is breathe and stay present. And let's ease out of this pose and make our way into half splits, targeting the back of the leg this time. So start to straighten your right leg, folding over your right thigh. Palms can stay down onto the mat, or you might want to have a block under each hand. The tendency in a pose like this here is to allow the left hip to start to open up. See if you can pull your left hip forward, right hip back, so that both stay squared towards the front of your mat. Your spine might round a little bit here as you fold towards your right leg, and that's okay if it does. Just still imagine that you can reach the crown of your head forward, so you're minimizing the contraction and compression through the belly, still maintaining length through the spine, and especially length through the lower back. Take a few deep belly breaths here and send it directly to the back of the leg. If your hamstrings are very tight, you might want to keep a bend through your right knee. If you would like to go a little bit deeper into this pose, you can start to bend into your left knee a little bit more and drop your hips onto the ground, onto your heel. If this is too much, stay halfway up exactly as you were. Try to find stillness and softness in this pose. No matter where you were in this pose, start to ease your way out of it by once more bending into your right knee, so that you can make your way back into your tabletop pose. Let's go on to our low lunge on the second side. So this time pad your right knee, maybe by folding your mat up in half, and step your left foot forward in between your palms to the top of the mat. Make sure your left knee does not go past your left ankle. Keep your shoulders down and away from the ears, and maybe use a few blocks under your palms, or keep your palms down onto the mat. Find length through the lower back, and let your hips sink down low as you get even deeper into your right hip flexors. One side might be a little bit tighter than the other, and although we've just done the other side, see if you can greet this pose as if it was a brand new experience. And that means letting go of any preconceived notions that you have of the pose, and letting go of any ideas and judgments you have over yourself and of the pose. Come into the pose on this side with a beginner's mindset, exploring every areas of your body that you might be neglecting here. Maybe you're allowing your right hip to start to open up towards the side. Can you pull it forward and square your left hip back? Are you clenching your jaw or frowning? Are you using any muscles right now that do not need to be working? Are you compensating in any way, or using your thoughts as a way to distract yourself? And let's take our half splits on the second side. Start to straighten your left leg, folding over your left thigh, keeping your palms down on the ground or maybe down on some blocks. Hips stay squared towards the front of the mat, and maybe keep a soft bend in your left knee so you're not locking your joints or hyperextending. Find your breath and stay present to the experience. Remember that you can back out of this pose at any time. If you did want to go a little bit deeper into it, you can start to bend into your right knee even more and bring your hips down onto the ground and down onto your heel. Ease yourself out of this pose, bending into the left knee once more, coming back through to your tabletop pose and removing any blocks out of the way. Make your way down onto your back. We'll give our hamstrings a little bit of a break and go deeper into the hips and inner groin. Bringing the soles of the feet to touch, let your knees fall apart. If this pose is uncomfortable in your lower back, you can always give yourself a little bit more support by placing a block under each knee. Arms go wherever is most comfortable to you. You can keep your hands on your belly to feel the breath go in and out. You can let your arms lay by either side, or sometimes even reaching both arms up overhead can feel like a really nice expansion through the chest. Wherever you choose to be, make sure you're getting your body in a position where you can really and truly learn to relax and let go. Letting gravity pull you in deeper into the pose with every exhale. Softening the tongue and cheeks. Allowing the entire length of your spine to be supported by the ground. Let's take another minute or two in this pose. You're halfway through the pose. If you need to make any adjustments at all, now would be the perfect time to do it. Otherwise, commit to stillness and stay exactly as you are for these last 10 breaths. Use your palms to very gently lift your knees back into center. Go slowly here, especially if your hips are sensitive. And let's draw both knees in towards the chest. Take a few breaths here. You can rock gently from side to side. Knees can be together or apart. Just let go of any tension this last pose might have brought on in your lower back. Keep your right knee in towards your chest and go ahead and drop your left foot down onto the ground. With every inhale you take, see if you can lengthen your spine, and as you exhale, draw your right knee a little bit closer towards your chest and towards your right ribs. This might be where you stay if you're already experiencing a really good amount of sensation through the hips and inner groin. If you did want to go deeper into this pose, we'll be coming into a half happy baby variation. Hold on to your right foot or big right toe and start to lift your heel up towards the sky. Stacking your ankle over your knee, make sure that you're keeping your right elbow to the inside of your leg. Left knee can stay bent. If you'd like to go deeper into the pose still, start to straighten your left leg down onto the mat. Coming back into our hip flexors. There's definitely a lot going on in a pose like this. We're targeting a lot of muscles at the same time. This is the kind of pose where we will sometimes let our mind start to wander and try to distract ourselves. See if you can learn embodiment instead. Focus on your breath and go deeper into the sensation you're experiencing instead of trying to avoid it. Remember that if it really is too much, you can come back to our first variation and just hug your right knee in towards the chest. Otherwise, draw both shoulders down. Keep the entire length of your spine supported on the ground. And with every exhale, draw your right knee down a little bit closer towards the outside of your ribs. If you had your left leg out in front of you straight, start to bend it once more so that your left foot comes back down on the mat. And from here, let's come into reclined pigeon. You'll need to cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. Try to keep your right foot flexed as you press your right knee open. If this is enough sensation for you, stay exactly where you are. If you'd like to go deeper into it, start to draw your left knee in towards the chest. If you would like to go deeper into the pose but are having a hard time grabbing a hold of your left thigh, using a strap can be extremely handy here. If you do choose to bring your left knee in towards the chest, see if you can keep your tailbone firmly planted down on the ground. Using only a little bit of arm strength here. Soften into this as much as you can and direct all of your breath deep into your right hip. Take your last 5 deep breaths here. Notice if there's any more space you can create through that right hip. Feel the belly rise and fall with the rhythm of your breath. And go gently as you uncross your right ankle, and let's hug both knees in towards the chest. Same as before, maybe rock gently from side to side, massaging your lower back down into the mat. Knees can be together or apart. Let yourself soften and relax here. This time, let's keep the left knee in towards the chest and bring your right foot down onto the mat. With every exhale, feel your left knee drawing down a little bit more. This is the pose you'll stay in if you're already experiencing a deep enough opening through the hips. If you'd like to take half happy baby on this side as well, start to grab a hold of your foot or to your big toe. Send your heel up towards the ceiling, stacking ankle over your knee and keeping your left elbow to the inside of your leg. Focus on drawing your left knee down a little bit closer towards the earth and closer towards your left armpit with every exhale you take. Only engaging your arms a little bit for support, using very minimal strength. It could be that this side is easier for you, or it could be that this side is much tighter and presents more of a challenge. A lot of times we tend to hold a lot of judgment whenever poses are faced with duality, right side, left side. And we get into the habit of labeling one side as our good side and one side as our bad. See if you can move away from that frame of thinking and just greet it as a brand new experience. Remember that this is not a flaw you're trying to fix. You're just looking to create a little bit more space. The benefit of the pose is the same regardless of what your flexibility is like today. If you're looking to go into this pose deeper still, start to straighten your right leg, firmly planting your right heel down onto the ground. Let's move into reclined pigeon on the second side. If you had your right leg straight, start to bend into your right knee so your foot comes back down onto the mat. Cross your left ankle over the top of your thigh, keeping your left foot flexed. Stay exactly where you are, or start to draw your right knee in towards the chest, maybe grabbing a hold of the back of your thigh, front of your shin, or using a strap to make the pose more accessible. Keep head and shoulders relaxed down onto the mat so you're not straining your upper body here. Make this as passive as you can. Direct all of your awareness and all of your breath deeply into your left hip, encouraging it to open a little bit more with every breath you take. Let's release this side as well. Uncross your legs, and one last time, hug your knees in towards your chest. Do any final movements that you need to do before coming into Shavasana, our final resting pose. Stretch out, take up as much space as you're comfortable taking, and place yourself in a way where you'll be comfortable to lie still for a few minutes. allowing the eyes to close and coming back to whatever breath is natural to you. Try to focus your energy and awareness on your lower body. Maybe feel the gentle buzzing at the back of the legs or deep into the hips. Notice if some areas of your body are still trying to work or use effort. Can you invite them to relax and soften? Maybe allow the eyes to close, shifting the focus inward, integrating all the important parts of your practice, and giving your body the opportunity to truly rest. Feel your limbs getting heavier. Feel your back body fully supported by the earth beneath you. You might even be able to feel your heartbeat. As always, I deeply thank you for doing this class with me, and I truly hope you enjoyed it. I hope this allowed you to open up your hips, hamstrings, quads, and the legs as a whole. Please wake up from this short meditation as slowly and gently as you can. Thank you once more. Namaste.